But
I suppose.
you want to hit him up? Let's give him a little call. See if Mr. Scanlon's ready.
See if we can get him on the horn here.
Hello.
Yo.
What's going on, homie?
What's up, Mr. Scanlon? Are you ready, sir? Well, you are on live. Well, not live, but,
Recording.
Yeah.
All good, all good.
Awesome, man. So we had a little story come out in the hobby this last week about a gentleman in Aurora that got arrested for.
Gotta be a Coloradoan, man.
I know, it's fucking whack.
Of course.
We got arrested for some fake Jordans, and you were letting us know that you had a little up close and personal interaction with this person. So what went down? What happened?
Yeah, man. When my son was born back in 2015, I wanted an heirloom type card to put aside for him, and watch it grow up as he did, and settled on a PSA 9 Michael Jordan Fleer rookie, which in 2015 at the time they were going for about $2,300. So yeah, I did a little bit of work, found one on Craigslist locally, and bought it. Ended up very happy with the purchase at the time, put it away, and the same guy hit me up a couple months later. I realize now, fishing for the info. Were you happy with the purchase? So, yep, sure am, man. Put that Jordan away. It's exactly what I wanted. And he had me come out and take a look at another card that was a Reggie Jackson rookie, PSA 9, which again at the time was probably a $4,500 card, and I ended up negotiating it down to, I believe it was 3,600. So, and I immediately took that and wanted to flip it over to Rick Probstein, have him do an auction, try to make a few dollars, and sent it to Rick. Found out a couple days after Rick got it in hand that he couldn't do anything because he thought that the card was fraudulent and trimmed.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. So he reached out to me, let me know he couldn't do anything about it, and told me too, one of the security things you could look for was putting your thumb in there and cracking it. And he said, I tried it with the Reggie Jackson and it didn't work. But the first thing I thought was, the Michael Jordan I still had in my possession, right?
Yeah.
So I go over to the Jordan, stick my thumbnail in, and man, that thing cracked open with just literal thumbnail pressure.
No.
So, and then of course, as soon as the case is cracked open and the card is in my hand, I realize that it's a completely fraudulent card, right? Like it's a fake.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right paper stock. It wasn't the right gloss. So I knew at that point I was kind of screwed. So went around trying to get some legal implications on this Mayo, and it was kind of unique. I bought from him pretty early in his whole scamming ordeal, and being that we're right here in the backyard, I actually went to the dude's house. So
shit.
yeah, and it was crazy because I go over there to buy a card, and he's unboxing an order from PSA. Just kind of on the laundry list of things that he did that kind of helped quell what would have been anything that would have been odd about the situation.
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, for sure. So, but they keep talking about fake Jordans. People need to understand that it's not just fake Jordans in this situation. That is what got publicized here at the end. But I mean, I have documented stuff, that a dossier basically, where this dude was flipping Ricky Henderson's, Nolan Ryan's, like it was cards. The
Right.
Michael Jordan was an easy card because, again, when you talk about those, the Jordan's a perfect storm because it's a card that was produced in the 80s as a base card, which means there's only 17 billion of each copy out there, including the Jordan. Right. So, it's not something so unique that people would be awed by it. And, at the time there weren't sales of them for, $750,000 in a 10. So, the Jordan was a real easy card that I am certain pumped hundreds, if not thousands of fakes into the market.
Oh my god, dude,
Yes.
that's like a whole entire ring, like a fraudulent
Dude,
ring.
with most cards, I tell people, you want to look for graded. PSA is a pretty trusted company. But anybody who's a friend of mine that I'm advising on buying a Michael Jordan rookie, I will advise to stay as far away from a PSA graded copy as you can, unless you know it was graded in the last few weeks, right?
Wow.
Um, so my advice is buy a BGS and cross it,
Yeah, yeah, that would be the move.
because
Yeah,
so few fake BGS examples of anything out there that I would still feel fairly confident in anything that was slabbed up there, and then crossing it myself.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So you said you went to his house.
Yeah.
Describe this house. I
Yeah.
heard you on the other. I can't remember the autograph pod or pod your
Autograph.
autograph or
Yeah, let me get that potograph.
yes, yes. I heard you on there, and you were talking about the trap house. Describe this
Yeah.
trap house.
It was an apartment, right? And I mean, when I went over there, I was obviously buying a $2,000 collectible. So I wasn't going over there expecting a dark, dingy, gross place. And I didn't get that.
Yeah,
It looked like it was a very well put together, very clean, and again, sitting right there on the kitchen table was an unboxing of what appeared at least to be a legitimate PSA order. It was a lot more lower dollar cards than I was looking at buying at the time. So, no reason to feel like that was fraudulent at all. But,
mm,
I wonder how many things he had around the house that were just complete shams. And maybe he was doing this in other markets as well, not just sports cards.
Wow.
yeah,
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 it was really interesting. But again, it seemed like a nice, well put together apartment. It wasn't in a shitty part of town. It was in Aurora, which Aurora does have some shitty parts of town. Don't get me wrong, but like it was in a nicer put together part of town.
yeah. Hmm. I just like I have this image of like crackheads like sitting around like digging through like nine sleeve pages of cards, like sports card crackheads. But man, dude,
I Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. So
So these are fake slabs that he was using, or he was cracking open PSA slabs and putting the cards in there and putting them
nah,
back
man,
together,
there
or
was there was nothing that touched PSA about these things. The only thing that was is somehow whoever was producing these counterfeits was able to get backdoor plastic out of whoever's manufacturing it for PSA at the time.
mm,
huh?
So the cases they had were authentic PSA cases that just went out the back door.
mm,
And then when they put them together, they weren't using the supersonic sealer or whatever the hell it is they use.
yeah.
Right.
This, so that's why you end up with a bunch of examples that you can stick your thumbnail in and crack right open.
Man, I wonder how many people are stuck with multiple copies of. I mean, there's people out there. I bet we were just saying the other day that probably have a fucking 1,000 Jordans. You know,
Yeah.
uh 100%. And
and there's
I've
probably
maintained that I believe there's literally, I don't believe it's a big number, but it's a whole number. So I believe it's 3, 4, 5% of the total population of Jordans that are in circulation are probably fraudulent.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big number compared. I mean, like you said, they printed fucking millions of those.
So
Right.
do you think personally? I mean, do you think personally that PSA graded any fakes at all, or do you think these are all just fraudulent aftermarket backdoored slabs and shit?
These are all fraudulent backdoor slabs, man. And I mean, again, it's been a big problem for a long time. I turned into a little Nancy Drew after all this happened, started investigating every case I heard of a fake card anywhere, I had my nose up it. So
I'd say you're more of like a big Nancy Drew, but
fair enough. Thank you very much.
So
So, yeah, like I said, I got a dossier of like bunches of fake cards. Like when I left Mayo's house the second time, when I took a picture of 5 cards that he had. And I believe at this point, all 5 of the cards were fake. There was a PSA 10 Ricky Henderson in there. And
whoo,
yeah, you know what that PSA 10 Ricky Henderson is worth. So I
Yeah.
mean, I know somebody got ripped off for $30,000 on that card in 2015.
Right.
Jeez, oh.
Wow.
Right, like so, and I'm fairly certain that right now a PSA 10 Ricky Henderson goes for over $100,000
Yeah, I would
easy.
say so. Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
on the Potograph podcast, I heard you talking about you having to speak with the FBI. What was that like? I mean, to the best of what you can say.
Um, and I don't think I have any kind of restrictions, but I mean, it was odd, you know. I much like you guys, I come from that weed smoking background where that authority is not really a welcome presence in our life, you know,
Right.
for regular day to day situations.
Yeah, you see him
But
and
in this,
you
uh,
clinch up even if you're not doing anything wrong.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, right. So, but I mean, because this scourge was happening in our backyard, I felt obligated to do something about it. So much as it wasn't my most comfortable time, I definitely decided, to go ahead and do it, and I'm glad I did. You know, I'm glad that I was part of what helped put that guy away. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so but for the first time I interviewed, I was real nervous, and it was a phone interview, so it wasn't that bad. I was able to do most of it, in my bedroom with the lights off under a blanket, so they couldn't see what was going on. Uh, but yeah, and the second time they kind of caught me by surprise. Was at the 2021 National, and we were set up at the booth, and you know slipped away for a quick break and came back, and one of the guys that I was set up with tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey man, just so you know, there's some FBI guys right there that want to talk to you," as they were walking up to the table.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah,
Chew a
and
piece of
that
gum
was
real quick.
definitely intimidating. But so I got to meet the guy who interviewed me in 2015 over the phone, and they had me do a lineup where they showed me pictures of 6 different people and asked me if I could pick Mayo out of the lineup. So they made it that really easy. Wasn't a challenge at all. So yeah, overall very interesting. Nothing that I would have ever considered really in my wheelhouse, but again, with the interest of trying to protect anybody else's money in the Colorado area, man, I wanted to see that we could do what we could do about getting him thrown away.
So it still took 2 years from that point, even.
Yeah. I mean, and overall, we're talking about 7 years, 7.5 years since the
Wow.
first time that I got ripped off.
And he was still active the whole time.
To the best of my knowledge, yes, because I know there were fakes coming constant,
Wow.
especially on Jordans and other just heirloomy kind of type of cards.
Do you know if there's anybody else? Are they trying to get anybody else that was like supplying him the plastic or any of that or any? Is it
Well,
just
I mean,
him?
they should. No, it's definitely not him. Mayo's not sitting around manufacturing cards and squeezing together slabs and stuff. Mayo's no different than a drug dealer standing on the corner peddling his shit. He's basically
Right.
got his block that he's worried about. I'd be willing to bet any amount of money there's other Mayos in other parts of the country, and doing the same kind of thing. And this is just one that they were able to get up and chop the head off the snake. So,
Wow.
but yeah, there's definitely more to this than just Mayo getting busted, and I believe that the estimation of $800,000, man, is way, way, way low.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Couple Jordans
Yeah,
adds up to that.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think that's basically like an iceberg where you see the little $800,000 above water, but God only knows how big it is underneath.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you know personally was affected by it?
No, I met a few people along the way that were just as affected, if not more affected than I was. But no, nobody else that I really knew. I was actually kind of taken back when I was interviewing with Drew the other day when he mentioned that he was involved in it at some levels too. So
Right.
yeah, that's the only one that I know, which again kind of is scary because you don't know how he got these things out there. You don't know where he was out operating. I know that he was doing things where he would reach out to, Jeremy, let's say you had your eBay store set up. You'd get a message one day like, hey, Jeremy, you got a nice $50,000 worth of cards here. I've got this, $60,000 Jordan. Maybe we can make a trade, and without thinking about it really hard, you're like, oh shit, man, Jordan, let's go. And you've traded a bunch of legit inventory then for something that's not worth the roll of toilet paper you got in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just what we know of. Again, there could have been many ways. I know for sure that they were trying to go to local shops and try to peddle them at different local shops at different times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mayo is pretty well known in the Colorado collecting scene, especially with people that have been doing this since like the 2015 range. Because one of the first things I did after discovering all of this was I seeked out a show in Denver for the first time so that I could go talk to vintage dealers, right? And the first vintage dealer I went up to, I brought the Reggie Jackson, and I was like, hey, can you give me your opinion on this? He looked at it, looked up at me, and said, did you buy this from a guy named Mayo?
Oh my
man.
God.
Right. So, I mean, he had a little bit of a reputation working at that point in time. And, God only knows why they were allowing him to operate as long as they did. But,
Yeah.
his day finally came, man.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, it made national news and everything, man. He was all over the place.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest scamming situations I'd imagine in the hobby's history.
Yeah, I would say so. And especially with like the pandemic boom when there was a ton of new people coming in.
Oh my god!
I'm sure he just feasted on people. I'm sure there was.
Oh my God!
Just so many newbies.
And I'll tell you what, I bought in 2015. The fakes that I bought in 2015 were great. I was already semi aware of the fact that there were fakes out there in 2015. So I did due diligence. I checked the cert number to make sure the cert matched NPSA's database. I used a barcode reader. I scanned the barcode and boop, the same number came up as the cert, right? So they were doing a lot of things to make sure this all worked smoothly. This wasn't just a fly-by-night one-time thing. This was a well-oiled machine. And that's why I say, I don't trust them PSA Jordans unless they've got a big number in front, like a 6 or a 7.
Right. Wow, man. Well, I gotta say, big ups to you, man, for helping crack down on this motherfucker and helping like people in the hobby and going out and doing your research and like trying to help out as many people as you can because that's commendable to me for sure.
You the real MVP.
Hey man, I appreciate that, and you guys know that I'm a community guy, and I've always put this ahead of me in my personal gain. So that's consistent with my messaging, and on that, I don't know how you feel about the guy, but I'm going to go ahead and say, Vegas Dave, suck a goddamn dick.
Bam.
You should have eaten that, motherfucker. Just because you got ripped off on a Jordan doesn't mean you should pass it along to the next motherfucker. Be a real man, take it on the chin. Take your loss, especially a big multimillionaire like you.
He sold one of those, passed it on.
Yeah,
someone else?
Vegas Dave bought a fake PSA 10 Jordan, passed it on to somebody else who discovered it was fake, and then Dave was like, "Yeah, sorry."
Oh,
what
fuck.
a penis! What a fucking penis!
Yeah, fuck that guy. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop a bomb like that on your show
Shit.
without asking first.
I mean, you've listened, right?
You motherfucker, you.
Yeah, I know. I'm not that sorry.
So Mayo, what's the guy's full name?
Mayo Gilbert, I think McNeil, but Mayo McNeil.
Mayo McNeil.
Yeah.
Do you think he has any cronies that are trying to continue the fucking, like anybody under him, any underlings or anything?
I would bet almost anything that unless they got whatever's above Mayo, that there's still going to be some sort of attempted criminal activity out of that organization. Yeah,
it'd have to be.
Yeah, for sure.
So stay safe and buy from trusted vendors, y'all. And that's the number one thing you can do.
And at the
buy
very
from
least,
somebody that you know and who's going to stand behind your purchase.
Exactly. You get caught up, you make it fucking right, man.
Right?
Yeah.
I went out and tried to save $500. It cost me $5,000.
Damn.
Right? So Don't let that shit happen to you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, right on, John. We fucking appreciate you, man, coming on and telling your story about this. And we appreciate you for a lot of things, for building this, helping build this community in Colorado, and putting on that Denver Card Show. It's fucking a banger of a show, and we love every bit of it and appreciate the fuck out of you, brother.
Looking at.
Hey, man, thank y'all very much. I appreciate what you do, too. I know it's not easy to put this thing down every week and do it consistently, and y'all been doing a great job at it. So keep it up, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. All right.
Fellas, thank y'all very much. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right, brother.
All right. Peace.
Peace out.
That was Mr. Jon Scanlon from the Denver Card Shows, and his tale from getting fucked, basically, by this Mayo McNeil motherfucker. So, yeah, I appreciate John for coming on and helping spread the word.
Yeah, man. Watch your shit.
Watch your back. Watch your shit.
If you got them Jordans, you might want to double check them.
Right. Try the little fingernail test on it. Stick it in the slab. See if it pops open. Definitely be aware.
Yep.
Be aware. But that story, like I said, it made national news. There's a LCS up in Denver called All Seas. They 9 News came in and did an interview with James, the owner and proprietor of the shop. Check that out as well. He talks about different things to look for in that interview as well. So
yeah, man. There's people out there trying to scam for fucking $50 cards all day on eBay and shit, man.
Yeah.
Let alone this fucking gigantic shit. So
yeah, it's true.
there's some shady motherfuckers out there. Just watch your ass.
Watch your ass.